This took me a second, but I get it. It's literally a reference to John Wick and their fucked up high table. Yeah, because remember in John Wick, they say, without rules, we are nothing but animals, right? That's why, right? Thus, it stands proven, claims Blavatsky, that Satan, or the red fiery dragon, the lord of phosphorus, and Lucifer, or light bearer, is in us. It is our mind, our temperature, our temper, our redeemer, our intelligent liberator, and savior from pure animalism. That's it right there. Without rules, we are just animals. Get the John Wick connection? Okay, we're going to keep going here. In the evolutionary scheme, the fall occurs through the high type of intelligence coming into close contact with nascent humanity, thus stimulating the psyche of the race, or so the magical tradition has it. The recapitulation of this process, trust the process, right? Within the individual's sphere of consciousness proceeds through the technique of initiating, where the red dragon is stirred into activity through contact with the crucifying powers of the elements, invoked to the skill and power of trained initiator. And that right there, I'm going to help you understand what I just read right there, right? It's in Codex Esoterica, right? You're going to understand. You got your orb, or the fields, I believe it is. Let me find it right here. And then that also breaks down the 8 governing dimensions it's talking about. But let's figure out where it is here. Okay, so it's past that. Actually, and that's really broken down through this conscious progression part that I already made a video about. And then we'll go deeper into where it's at, the broadcast. Path of incarnation, transcendence. Here we go. It's the field of geometry it's talking about. You have your physical plane, your vital plane, your emotional astral plane, your mental plane, which is where they're talking about, the casual architectural plane, spiritual plane, and divine plane. See, that's your field of geometry that I'm reading about right now, right? And then human composition, what it's made of, consciousness or energy, which goes back to Geomatrix, where first order is energy, okay? Then you have material composition, light, particle, atom, molecular, which is second order pattern, physical organization, cell, tissue, organism, system, third order depth. And then you got experience, fourth order experience. Factal or thought, thought, description, strategy, direction, which is factal forms. And then direction, perception of reality, path of life, universal law, order, philosophy, boundaries, and infinite recorded knowledge instinct. And that is all covered by biometry. So we're going back to this book. Okay. The power of a trained initiator. Okay. The use of the divine prerogative, which I just broke it down through Codex Esoterica. The divine, what was it called? Energy field, the divine energy field. Excuse me on that. Okay, the use of the divine prerogative, yeah, brought about the magic of everyday experience, the awakening of death, brings disaster at first because the awakened psyche is imperfectly understood and so abused for personal ends. But that very disaster and that abuse confers the consciousness of self is and is instrumental, at least in part, in breaking up the primitive participation mystique. Consequently, the realization of sorrow as it impinges on the ego, or at least sense of personal mental and emotional discomfort, and the understanding of its causes invariably constitute the first impetus to perform the great work, even as it compromises the move first to seek services and aid in the analytical psychologist, which is a reference to where's that? There. Um, the Alcoholics Anonymous book, "Break Them Until They Conform," which I highlighted and exposed, which is literally this stupid cult shit test of illumination. The test of illumination is this: could they do it all again if they lost everything and everyone? Could they rebuild from nothing? I literally just broke the long form down for you. This impetus and this self consciousness are the prime implications of death. Death. I don't know why they do that. It is significant, and its signification is a higher type of consciousness, the beginning of a spiritual rebirth. It acts as a self invoked link between the higher genius, on the one hand, at peace in its supernal abode, and on the other hand, the human soul bound by its fall to the world of illusions and sense of matter. Not only that self consciousness and acquired knowledge are turned into noble and altruistic ends, so long will sorrow and suffering be the inevitable result. Continually will the red dragon, the inverted power of the Eros, ravish the little kingdom of self until such time as we open ourselves to the deepest levels of our unconsciousness, reconciling the and uniting them with our conscious outlook, thus conquering the foe by driving it back to its proper realm. In such a way may we use, but neither ignore nor repress, the experience of life and its fruit to transcend our personal limitations and attain a participation mystique in a higher self-conscious level. Again, that's the two-headed eagle. It's called duality. I broke it down in Codex Esoterica. Okay. Let me quote a few especially appropriate lines from the Jung in connection with this fall. When the fundamental basis of the Roch has been attracted to the kingdom of shells, and when Makala has been dissociated from the other Seraphoth, the consciousness then torn from its root and no longer able to appeal to the authority of the primordial images, possesses a primordial freedom. It is true, but it also partakes of the nature of the godless hybris. It soars above the earth, even above mankind, by the danger of capsizing is there, for not every individual, to be sure, but collectively for the weak members of such society who, again, Promethean like, are bound by the unconscious to the caucus. For the adept to be cut off from its roots, from contact with the vitalizing and necessary basis of his unconsciousness, will never do. He must unite and integrate the various levels of his entire tree. His task must be to train and develop titanic forces of his own underworld so that they become as a powerful but docile beast wherein we're on he may ride. And like, do you understand that connection to what was it? I forget the movie, but it's like dude was handicapped. They went to the island. Avatar, the beast, right? The one that they couldn't catch. And it also showed you that shell reference is right here in Codex Esoterica, which is talking about Adam and Eve, the higher self, the lower self, blah, 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 the duality. Like that is talking about being gender neutral. See the shell and then the border around it? That's the bullshit initiation they're pushing on people to be gender neutral and then become gay or transgender. What the fuck? This is stupidity, and I'm exposing it because it just doesn't work.